Hey everybody, and welcome back to Tenza Motorsports. Today we're going to be doing some gauges in this car. Did you know that we had this car? I know, we've been spending so much time on this one. I've been kind of neglecting my wife's race car. But today we're going to be working on this one. We're going to be putting in some shadow gauges. I have two of them here. I've got one that is a temperature gauge and one that is a pressure gauge. These are oil, temp, and oil pressure gauges. And we're going to be using the BMW oil cooler cap. This cooler cap here lets you run an oil cooler and also lets you run some sensors. And that's what we'll be doing today. Before we get into it, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, like if you enjoy this type of content. Also, make sure to check us out on Instagram, Tenza_Motorsports. We got a giveaway coming up here real soon. Style 68 wheel. It's just the face of it. It was cracked, and so now it's just the face because that was the only part that wasn't really damaged. And I'm going to be painting it up, and then it'll be something like you can hang on the wall or something like that. But just kind of some fun stuff. We do giveaways every now and then. And speaking of giveaways, Shadow was actually a sponsor of one of our giveaways. Fantastic company. We've really liked their product so far. And today we're going to be adding two more to this car. I've got some for mine. I've just got the regular ones. These are the dark mode tinted gauges, and we're thinking, the black on black kind of thing for this car, which would be cool. And then mine are just going to be the standard clear lens on it. Do you want to know what the hardest part about this is? Anybody hazard a guess? Oh, you're right, running the wires. So running wires from the engine bay to inside the car, and making sure you're not going to pinch it on the steering column, or it's not going to rub on something or get hot from the exhaust. That's going to be the hardest thing about this project. Everything else is like put the gauges on where you want them inside and plug in the sensors out here. So let's go get them popped open, and then I'm going to talk through some strategies of running wire. Because a lot of people just have things just ran all over their engine bay. This car kind of looks like that right now because I haven't organized it for a while. But you don't want to just let wires hang everywhere. So we'll go over some of that in just a minute. Let's go over to the bench and get these unboxed. Before we go and open these up, Shadow, this is a Pro 3 gauge. They make a ton of these. Boost, oil, voltage, exhaust gas temperatures, you name it, they've got it. Pretty cool stuff. Here on the back goes over a bunch of the features. I especially like this one. Computing speed of 200 million times per second. It's pretty awesome, so these aren't going to lag or have any latency between the sensor and the gauge itself. It's got a warning buzzer on it, so I'm curious to see how that works. We might not be able to see that today because that means that something's going wrong, and I hope nothing actually is going wrong with the car. But yes, lots of features. It looks like it's really well made, and I'm excited to get this into the car. As always, this and everything we use today will be down in the description below. I'll have a link to everything. Here are the two gauges. Again, these are the tinted one. They do have one where the face is just completely see-through. I hope these show up really well. I was told that it's basically like they're not even tinted when they're on. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. So I've mentioned this in the past. I am a big sucker for good packaging. It just means that they put a little bit more time and effort into it. If I just got this in a Ziploc bag and they had gotten the crap beat out of it in shipping, that just shows you, like, if they don't care to send it to you in a decent condition, do they really care about the product? And these guys really do a good job. There is the gauge. I like that it's not very deep. Pull out this right here, which is the rest of the components. There's wiring, more wiring, there's more wiring, and then the sensor. And then here at the bottom, you'll find your paperwork and your mount. Shadow sticker, pretty sweet. We'll make sure we put that somewhere. Instruction manual, nothing too complicated actually. These are fairly straightforward. So if you noticed, this has a little orange ring on it. Well, that's actually the mount, which is really cool, because that means, because this is so small, you can put this almost anywhere. You want to hang it upside down, you spin the gauge. You want to mount it upright, you want to mount it up against something. There's very little coming out the back of this. The other thing is that this mount here, I don't know if you can see, but there's actual slits cut in the mount, and that means you can actually bend this to form around something. On my wife's car, we're going to be putting this just behind her steering wheel, kind of like my ATI gauge mount that I've got on my white race car. I can't seem to find those anymore. So on top of the fact that these are really good quality, now you don't have to buy gauge pod holders or anything like that. If you want to, you can. You just slip that ring off like I did earlier and slip it into a mount. Looks like this one is the pressure sensor. So the pressure sensor is the shorter one, and I believe the temperature one is the longer one. This is the other cool thing about this. These are actually the controls. They give you a little piece of double back tape, and you can set these where you think you want to try to put them, all around the edges. And then you can control the gauge using those. These wires here that have a whole bunch of colors hanging off the end. So it looks like we've got orange, black, red, and yellow. These are going to be your power, ground, signal, key on, that kind of stuff. What's nice is the back of this all has different sizes, which means this can only plug into one slot, so you don't have to sit there and try to figure out where they go. This is your sensor. This will go from your engine bay to your gauge. We're gonna get really lucky, which means you don't have to hook this up multiple times. Looks like, based on the instructions here, let's see if I can get a good shot. I think that's this cable here. So you can actually wire them in series. Yellow, ILM 12 volt cable for clearance light, 12 volt wire when the light is on. Orange ignition, 12 volt, so that would be like going to your switch or your key. Black is ground, red is constant 12 volts. So you have a constant 12 volt switch, and then I think that means the yellow is 12 volt constant, and then ground, obviously. What that means is you hook all these up, run to the back of this, and then you don't have to do this again. You do it once, and then you can run a cable over to the other one. This list of tags to tell you which gauge it is, those literally just go wherever you want to put it. You can put it on the sides, the back, you can put it in the front, just kind of wherever you want to put it. The other thing is this comes with two different pieces of double back tape. One is to put the controls on the side like this, and the other one is to put the controls flat in front of it. You got this piece of tape here, lets you put it flat, and then this piece of tape here lets you put it on the side of this. And again, you can kind of stick it wherever you think you want to put it. Here is our Bevan C oil cooler cap. You've got two spots here. You got your temperature gauge here, which is the longer one, and then your pressure gauge here, which is your shorter one. We're going to run over to this wire, and I'm gonna run underneath this cover back. Trick to running wiring. If there's already wire there, follow it. That way you know that the wire is safe. They would not run this wire through there if the engineers didn't think that that was a good idea. So we're gonna run our wires along this. We'll run straight out the back. Once we get out the back of this cover, then we're in the clear and we can run it through the firewall wherever we want to. All right, I'm ran into my first little hiccup here, and hopefully it's the only one of the day. And it's really not that big of a deal, but it's big enough a deal that we're modifying something, so I want to bring it up. When you're building custom stuff and you're buying things from different manufacturers, not everything is going to fit. This piece right here is having a hard time fitting into there. Let me move this out of the way real quick. See that little cutout? Well, the top of this is too big around, and when you go to put it in there, it doesn't quite fit. My plan is to take a grinder and take off the notches there that allow you to tighten it up. The reason being, you can grab the top here with a pair of pliers. These do not need to be like, 80 pound-feet of torque. They just need to not leak and not come back out, not shake back out. So that's the plan. I've already done a little bit. I don't know if you can see here, but that is smooth. I'm basically just gonna take some material off here. Again, this is very common when you're building custom stuff. Not everything's gonna fit, not everything's gonna work. But once we're past this, it looks like everything else is just running some wire. The left button all by itself changes the brightness. which is really cool. Right button will show you your peak. And so I guess it'll give you a buzzer or something. It is a little bit weird that the peak on the oil pressure is a peak. It would be a minimum, I guess. You'd want to know if it was low. So that one's probably going to stay up high. You can see that needle moves really quickly, and I like that a lot because, again, you don't want it to be like lagging behind or anything. All right, here we are, all hooked up. This is put back together. I'll show you what the gauges look like when you turn them on. And then again, when you turn them off. Pretty cool. I like them a lot. All right, so gauges are on. We're gonna try to start the car. I have not started this car all winter long, but we're gonna see how this goes. Okay, pressure gauge. Pressure gauge is working. It's a little bouncy. We'll make sure it's supposed to do that. And then temperature probably won't move for a little bit. All right, there it is. Hopefully you can see my GoPro doesn't like to focus very well sometimes, but we're just starting to come up off the numbers here. Car is operating temperature. That's sitting just under 40. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be, but hopefully that's good numbers. But yeah, there we go. I'm really happy with this. I'm gonna be doing another set of these, like I said, on the white race car. And so if there's anything that I missed in this video, leave it down in the comment section below. I'll probably go over the functions. I'm gonna learn these a little bit more. So far, pretty easy. I mean, there's only 2 buttons per gauge. I feel very confident with my car when we go to do mine. Very excited about it. Again, the biggest thing about these is running all the wires and making sure that they're tidy and they're not hanging down on your pedals and all sorts of stuff. You can make a big mess with wiring, and if you take your time and do it right, you can do something like this. It looks super flush. You've got 1 wire that runs between the 2. I've got it so far down in there, you can't even really see it. So very happy with everything. Very happy with the way that it all turned out. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see everybody in the next video.
Bam!